There we go. There we go. Alrighty, are you ready, Chef Elizabeth?
Hi, everybody. Welcome to our last class of the summer.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much to Chef Elizabeth and to Naomi and Prep for hosting us for this summer's cooking series. It's been lots of fun and very knowledgeable. So super excited.
And today we are doing, so we're gonna finally take all of our scraps. We had a big container of carrot peelings and onions and all of our vegetable trimmings that we've been keeping. And it was a big full bucket. And we also had some beef bones. So we made New York steaks and cut off the bone. And so then we used the beef bone. So we're making beef stock instead of chicken or vegetable stock. And we're actually going to use the beef stock in our lentil soup instead of chicken or vegetable stock. So we're gonna make the stock first, and it's already started. Then we're gonna get our chicken sheet pan and vegetable dish in the oven. And then we will do some lentil soup in the Instant Pot because I don't want to babysit it, and I just want to push the button and then have it make itself. So,
excellent.
So that's what we're gonna do. Let's see. You guys should all have the recipes, but we are gonna go off the recipes just a little bit, just because that's what we do when life happens. We don't need to follow it. What you want to do is to kind of understand the theory behind the recipe, and then adapt it. So like. The vegetables that we're using that I suggested for our sheet pan dish are just a suggestion. So, you know, you feel free to do how you please. Also, I decided, well, not, I didn't decide, but my chicken decided for me. I always keep chicken breasts in the freezer and I didn't thaw them out. So I'm just going to bake them frozen, which just means that they will take a little bit longer.
Oh, okay.
And they won't get brown and caramelized. So if you're looking for browning and caramelization and that kind of like deep, rich color, then make sure you thaw everything out and you have your oven up really high on the temperature side. But I'm just looking for cooked and flavorful. And I want to do it all on the same pan, and I want to put it in the oven, and I want to not bother with it. I want to be able to just set my timer and then come back to it. And then with chicken, the best way to make sure that it's done is going to be with a thermometer. And the goal for chicken is to make sure that you get it to 165 degrees for breasts.
Okay.
And then chicken thighs can handle more. Minimum, they need to be at 165, but actually chicken thighs do well if you cook them like 185 or so. So the catch is when you take something out of the oven or when you take it off of the heat, it still has some heat in it. So it will do what's called carryover cooking. Mm-hmm. So if you take it out of the oven at 165, it means it will continue to reach probably like 170.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be overdone. Okay. So you want to kind of take it out a little bit under, and I usually suggest about 5 degrees in terms of how much it's going to increase in temperature. So we'll try and take out the chicken breasts at 160, and then they will come up to 165, and then they'll go back down like 2 or 3 degrees too. So
what if you had chicken breasts and thighs on the same sheet? Do you need to cook them separately, or can you put them on there?
Well, I would say if you're going to do chicken thighs and chicken breasts on the same sheet, go ahead and put your chicken thighs in first,
okay.
And then pull it back out like 20 minutes later, and then put your chicken breasts on.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or put them all in at the same time, and then when the breasts are done, take the breasts off, and then continue with the thighs. Either way, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So what I'm going to do is I want to get the, let's just do this first, and then I'll show you the stock afterwards, because I don't think anybody's cooking live anyway, so it's not that big a deal. So, yeah. No. So I'm going to show you how to get that together. So I've got my frozen chicken breast right here, and then the vegetables I'm going to use are an onion, zucchini, summer squash, and a potato. And the herbs I'm going to use are actually from our garden. So I have some oregano and I have some sage. And when you're using whole fresh herbs, you don't need to take them off of the stems, because what's going to happen is as this oregano cooks in the oven, it's going to dry out and the leaves are just going to come off on their own. So you can just throw them down like that. And then same thing with the sage. I'm going to do the same thing with the sage. If you want, sage is a little easier to get your hands on. So I could actually, maybe I'll do this with sage. I'll just take off, just going to bunch together. So I have all the stems here and then I have the leaves here. Just going to take them and just twist them off where the leaves meet the leaves meet the stems. And so I'm just going to put only leaves on here because it was easy. So I'm just going to put the leaves on there, put them on the tray and not worry about chopping them or anything. Because as they cook and dry out, they will be able to crumble up a little bit better as they're cooked.
Okay.
So I'm just going to take the stems and this is going to go into my stock pot again. So I'm going to put my herbs down. I have my chicken down. I have some garlic cloves that I'm going to mince up into with a little bit of salt and olive oil and lemon juice or vinegar, and that's going to be like my marinade. So it's a marinade that doesn't need to be sitting on it. It's kind of like a sauce or a marinade. So we'll get that going. So I've got my garlic cloves. I'm going to run them through my garlic press. And so I'm just going to put them all through. And this is just going to give it flavor. Now, you can just do salt and pepper, or if you have a nice spice rub at home, or even like chili powder or like a fajita seasoning even, you could just use that. You don't need to do this little marinade portion. It's just, this is kind of like a Greek inspired, Mediterranean inspired marinade. So I have garlic, I have some salt, and I'll add some olive oil. And then how about lemon? Did we already use all the lemon or? Okay. So that's, yeah, we'll just use, that's for our soup too. So we'll just use a little bit. You know, maybe we should just use red wine vinegar then, because that's going to be for our soup. Oh, either, we could do either one. So actually, why don't we just do a little bit of each to show you can use them both. So I'll do a little bit of lemon juice in here, and then we'll also do a little bit of red wine vinegar, and then we'll do the same thing for the lentil soup. So whenever it calls for lemon juice, if you don't have it, it's an acidic element. So you can always add red wine vinegar or balsamic vinegar. Balsamic vinegar is going to have a little more sweetness to it. White wine vinegar. Okay, so then we're just going to mix that around. Oh, spoons. Hey, Naomi, when you get, okay. We just need to taste some. Just grab the whole. Yeah, you can just take the whole bucket. So just swirl this around. Oh, and then Amy, I'll let you do some pepper.
Oh, okay.
Because it takes a while. So go ahead and mix that around and give it some pepper, as much or as little as you'd like. Pepper is something that you can always add afterwards. Salt is something you always want to add ahead of time because you want it to actually infuse into the food. Whereas pepper, it doesn't matter whether it infuses in or is on the very top. Okay, so I'm going to take my summer squash and just trim off the top and the bottom. And then I'm going to save these ends for my stock bucket. I'm smelling, I did put some chicken in ahead of time so we'd have some ready to show you guys. So let me check those real quick. So I was smelling our carrots. So I did a pan of just roasted veggies. So I've got my carrots nice and caramelized. So I'm just gonna leave those there. When that goes off, would you just set it for, would you just turn it off? The timer goes off, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna take my summer squash and cut it in half so that it's easier to cut up. So whenever you cut something in half, you wanna place it on that flat surface that you created. And then I wanna think about cooking times. I'm gonna throw all the vegetables on the tray at the same time. So I want the vegetables that take a long time to cook, I want them to be small. And the vegetables that don't take a lot of time to cook, I want them to be larger. So then it all ends up coming out to be the same. Yeah. So these guys cook really quickly. So I'm going to cut them up into larger pieces. And the potatoes, I'm going to cut them into smaller pieces because I don't want them to be raw. So I'm just going to pop these on the other side of the sheet.
That's simple.
Exactly, yeah. And then we're gonna toss everything in that marinade that you just made. So again, for the potato, slice it in half, use that flat surface, and then I'm gonna cut it into quarters and then cut it into smaller pieces. And again, this is gonna be much smaller than, can you guys see that? Here, I'll let you show that to the camera.
Yeah.
The size difference. So, and that's because I don't want raw potatoes, I want cooked potatoes. And so potatoes are a much denser vegetable, so it's going to take a lot longer to cook them.
Cool.
Okay. No, just the timer off. Okay, and then I'm going to I just have been traumatized by that one piece of zucchini, or cucumber, I guess it was. So I'm going to taste this just in case. No, it's fine. It's a little more bitter than I would normally like, but it's fine. But yeah.
So you do it with the zucchinis, but you don't have to do it with the summer squash?
Well, only because up until now, I haven't had a summer squash that was too bitter.
Ah,
so, but I mean, they are in the same family, so maybe, I don't know. So for the onion, I slice off the top and the bottom. And then cut him in half. So using that flat surface that I just created, then slice them in half. And then that allows me to peel it faster and easier. And then I'm just going to peel it into my container, save the peels for my stock pot. And that's going to give it a bunch of good flavor. And then I'm going to dice these up. So the onions, obviously you can eat an onion raw, but I want them to get kind of nice and cooked and caramelized. So I'm going to cut them on the smaller side. Not quite as small as the potato because they are in layers. So probably a little bit bigger, but it's also thinner than the potato. So, but smaller than the zucchini and the summer squash, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay. Then, so a lot of cooking is really thinking about each ingredient and how it will cook. So if I had carrots can be eaten raw, but also they take a little bit more cooking time than a zucchini. So you can kind of decide, do you want your carrots crunchy? Do you want them extra cooked? Up to you. And then now what we're going to do is just take our marinade or our mixture here so it's got olive oil, salt, pepper, garlic, lemon juice, and red wine vinegar. You can do one or the other, or both. Oh, and this is also a salad dressing. So didn't we make a...
Yes, we did.
So it's just basically the same dressing as we did, I think, last time.
Yes, with the tomatoes and the cucumber.
Yeah, exactly. So this can be a salad dressing, or you can just triple the recipe and then use it to do your veggies too. So I'm going to just put this over. And then we'll, with our hands, toss it around and then pop it in the oven. And this is something you can make a lot of it. And then, like I said, just use it as a salad dressing, use it every time you make veggies. So just take it, toss it. And then what we want to do is we want these to kind of get nice and brown. So we're going to spread them out and take advantage of the air being able to circulate in between them all. I'm going to kind of pile this up on top of the herbs. And then again, we have our frozen chicken breasts. So that's it. Nice little sheet pan meal that you don't really have to babysit. I'm going to put this in the oven and then take out the one that I already put in there, and then we'll use our thermometer to see where we are temperature-wise.
And how long is this cooking for approximately?
So if it were chicken thighs, it would be about 45. Well, actually, it depends on the size. But some chicken thighs are really small and some of them are really big. So if they're small chicken thighs, 30 minutes if they're larger ones, or bone-in ones, 45 minutes.
Okay.
A frozen chicken breast should take about 45 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And these are large, so I'm gonna guess about 45 minutes, but that's why we're gonna get the thermometer next, and then we will be able to figure it out. Okay, so don't touch this. Check on it and see if we need to put it back in.
Okay.
Okay, so I put that in.
Smells amazing.
Yeah. Timer. Okay, there's 12 minutes left on that timer. So I put this in, I'd say about 35 minutes ago.
Okay.
That makes maybe something, I don't know. And then again, it doesn't really matter because we're going to check the temperature. So I'm going to take the thickest breast, the thickest part of the chicken, and just go ahead and go in and see where we are. So right now we're at it's 125, 128, 131, 32, 34, 36, 37. So my guess is now it's slowing down. It's probably going to get to maybe 150. Let's see. So that means we just have a little bit longer to go. No, 143 is where it's stopping. 144, maybe not. Let's check while we're here just to see. It's around, let's say 147 because it's still climbing a little bit, but not 146, yeah. So we're almost there. And then let me check this guy, which is a little bit smaller breast. And we're already at 162. So this guy is done. So all I'm gonna do is take this one off because we are at 165 with this guy. But you can see there's still a lot of juice in there, which
Yes.
means we're good. Now this is gonna continue to cook. So it's gonna be maybe a little bit overdone because we, left it a little too long. Now let's check this guy. But again, if your chicken does get overdone, there's so many things you can do with it. You can put it in soup. You could make a chicken salad sandwich where you're adding things.
Like mayonnaise.
Yeah. So if you're going to do something like that, it doesn't matter as much. Obviously, it's nice to not overcook them. Oh, well, this one's ready to go too. So actually, then my guess is this one's ready too. We're just going to let this guy. Yeah, this is close enough. So for this guy, I'm just going to make sure that this one's eaten last, and it will end up coming to temperature either in reheating or in the next 10 minutes or so, because we're not going to eat it right away. So, but you can see I've gotten a little bit of caramelization on some of our pieces of onions, and we've gotten a little bit of caramelization on our potatoes. These are kind of hot, but let me show you. Can you guys? Yeah, you can see that. And then same thing with the onions. I got some caramelized bits on my onions, some on my zucchini. So there's just like little hints of caramelized flavor on here. Right there, can you see it? Yes. And then here's what I was talking about for those herbs. Oh, so you see how all I have to do is just kind of grab the herb stems, and then the leaves just fall right off. And then I'll throw the stems away into my.
Oh, they can go in there.
Yep.
Even though they've been roasted.
Exactly.
Oh, excellent.
And then I'll take my sage and just break off the leaves. I didn't do that with this one. I just popped them on there. And then my oregano, and I can just kind of run them through there. And then this is going to go into our beef. And so this is good for rosemary stems, thyme stems. This is oregano, sage, anything that has a nice hardy stem on it.
What about like parsley and cilantro?
Parsley and cilantro, they don't react the same way. So you'd want to, the best way to handle those would just be to chop them up and then pop them in with everything.
Okay.
And I'm gonna make sure that this is cooked because this one piece looks, no, it's cooked. It's just cooked. So if I had cut these pieces of potato a little bit bigger, they probably wouldn't be done in time. But you can tell by looking at those ingredients that they're definitely ready to go. So
yes. Okay, yeah, that really makes sense that you need to make sure that the harder ones are smaller.
Try a piece of potato so you see what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because that one looks, you'll see like some of these are,
Yeah, actually that one doesn't look as done.
and it's probably okay, but I could have cut them a little smaller. Oh, no, it's fine.
They're delicious though.
So again, 45 minutes. I mean, it took me about 10 minutes to get it on the sheet tray, 45 minutes in the oven, and then you can have it for dinner, and then the leftovers. So the leftovers, you can have it for lunches, but it's also one of those things like we did with that soup that one time, where you just take all of your, so for any soup, just take all of your leftover vegetables and chicken. Maybe if you're ambitious, dice up a new onion or something, you can, or celery or carrot or something, and then pop it in and just make a soup out of it. Which means you can then freeze it. So you don't ever have to, so then if you have soup in the freezer, you always have something ready to eat. You just pull it out.
This is amazing because it also only took 45 minutes from, like,
yeah.
This is a great weeknight.
Yeah, and we can make it look pretty. Here, let me watch. We'll make it look chefy. So I have a little bit of, that'd be great, thank you. I have a little bit of extra, so this could be, we could make a salad again with it and serve it alongside these things. So we have something kind of fresh and crisp, but it could also be a sauce to pour on over the top. Thank you. So I can take my chicken and I will slice up my chicken breast, and then we'll add some veggies to it. Let's see. I can grab it. Okay, so here's my chicken, and I'm just gonna slice it up, make it pretty. So I'm just slicing it at a little bit of an angle. And then we'll take our veggies. Let's see. We have potatoes, zucchini, all those herbs and onions. And summer squash. So if you have a garden, like you should be, like your head should be swimming with all the zucchini and
Yeah.
squash. And oh, and bell peppers are in season right now too. You could put bell peppers on there. So we've got these nice veggies, potatoes. Tomatoes, did you say, or potatoes?
Potatoes and tomatoes.
Yeah.
Depending on where you are.
And then I'll take my chicken breast, green beans. Yeah, any vegetable can go on here. Mushrooms, I love mushrooms. There we go. And then let's take this sauce, just a little extra bit of sauce with salt, pepper, the garlic, and the olive oil and the lemon juice. And I'm just going to drizzle it down just on top of the chicken.
That looks gorgeous.
Yeah. Or even easier is just a little bit of some nice balsamic vinegar, aged balsamic vinegar, or the balsamic glaze, and that just kind of wakes it on up. And you have a little lovely little plate of chicken and veggies, super healthy and easy.
Super easy.
Yeah. There we go. Okay. And then we also kind of take advantage of doing these classes to like clean out our fridge too. So if you have any extra vegetables, just go ahead and throw them on the sheet. So our carrots got really nice and caramelized. Want to taste them?
Yeah.
And then again,
It's so sweet.
yeah, use them for this dish, use them for another dish, throw them on top of some rice, like for a veggie and rice bowl kind of thing, add some salsa or a salad dressing. So those are
Could
always,
you just freeze them, not putting them into a soup, but just like all your extra roasted veggies, just freeze them?
Yeah.
If you don't have any like chicken stock made or anything?
definitely, yeah. And you could, I mean, if you know you're going to turn it into soup, you could even just, so the idea with freezing things is you want to make sure that you you keep freezer burn away from your food. So by pouring, like if you're going to put them into soup, but you just haven't gotten around to doing it, you could pour a little bit of water over them so that it would just create a seal in between the air and the vegetables. And so then when you're ready to make your soup, you can throw in like carrot, onion, and celery, or mushrooms, or whatever raw vegetables that you need to cook. Throw those in there, and then add in your chunk block of frozen vegetables, and just let it defrost. And then add in as much or as little broth as you need.
Awesome.
So it's just like an extra ingredient that will just get dumped in. All right, so let's move on to our beef stock. But wait, I should check. I forgot to put something else in the oven. Oh yeah. So check that. Amy, when that bings, would you check the temperature of the chicken? Yeah. Okay. Can you grab?
Yes.
Okay. Let's put. So let me show you what we did over here. I took the bones from the New York steak that we used the other day. So I had a lot of New York steaks and I just pulled off the bone and then any of the gristle that we weren't going to eat. And I just popped it in the refrigerator, or if you're not going to get to it, just pop it in the freezer.
You can put the gristle in there too?
Oh yeah, it's all flavor and like collagen. So you know when they talk about bone broth?
Yeah.
That's basically just slowly simmering all that stuff down to release the collagen in it.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So anything that you're not going to eat can go in to your sauce pot or your stock pot. I mean. So all the bones, all the bits that, you know, on the New York, there's that whole cap that's gristly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just always trim those off because I don't want to trim them off on my plate. So.
What if you trim them off after you cook them? Can you toss them in then, or just when
So
if
you're just serving it to family,
mm-hmm.
Sure. Or if but you know, like if you're serving a dinner party and you have 10 different people, and yeah, that's probably not a good idea. But if it's just your family and you're okay sharing germs, then sure. I mean, and technically it will be boiled, but I wouldn't recommend it if you're not comfortable with that, especially nowadays.
Yes.
But yeah, so here's all the bones. Oh, there's some bones. You can see them. And so what I did was, while I was getting all of these vegetables ready for our lentil soup, oh here, these are my extra stuff. So I'll dump that in there. So while I was getting everything ready for my lentil soup, so chopping all of my other vegetables, I started browning my bones. And then once it was nice and brown and caramelized, then I dumped in my vegetables, and then I dumped in the water, and then everything else. So basically a bay leaf, any herb stems, and then all the vegetables and the meat, and that's how you make broth.
And it simmers for hours?
It should simmer, which is just like a tiny bubble for like 2 hours would be great. We're gonna go ahead and use it after an hour and we'll be fine, but any leftover, I would say we'll just leave it and then strain it out later. So we can move on to the lentil soup now. And the lentil soup, we are going to do the lentil soup in our Instant Pot. So let me show you what we have. Do you have an Instant Pot?
I do.
Okay.
I love it.
Yeah.
I use it all the time.
I don't, but I use it here a lot. So, so the cool thing about an Instant Pot, or thank you. You can put it away. Oh, okay. Here's my salt. The cool thing is that we can put it on saute, so we can actually start pre-cooking our vegetables if we want to. Okay. And the only real reason to do that would be if we wanted to get a little extra caramelization. I kind of want to show you the simple way, which is not sauteing. So just dump everything in.
Dump everything in?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you want to go ahead and plug that in, I'll just take this off so I can show you guys. And then let's check our chicken again. So Naomi's taking out of the it needs probably like 10 more minutes. Probably needs about 5 to 10 more minutes. Okay, so let's get lentils are a great quick cooking. They cook faster than beans. They don't need to be pre-soaked, and they have a lot of like protein and fiber. So it's like a magic food, I think.
But you don't have to pre-soak them.
No.
Do you have to rinse them or anything, or is it just take them from the bag and?
The bag says to rinse them because sometimes there might be like bits of stone or something. I can tell these weren't rinsed, and I'm gonna be okay with that. So as long as you're okay with it, I'm okay with it. What was the temperature? 150? Perfect. Yeah, so put it on for 5 more minutes and we should be good. Okay, so so I like to use lentils because it's a great way like to sneak in some protein and fiber, and it's not quite a bean because it's a little smaller, but and I think they taste really kind of almost meaty. So we'll use lentils, and we had some leftover bell peppers that needed to be used. So I just diced those up right before, but then what's in the recipe is basically the basis for most all soups, and it's carrot, onion, and celery. So celery is on the top, then I have some carrot. I just diced it up however I wanted it to be on my spoon. Okay. You could put it in a food processor and just like process it if you want to hide your vegetables.
Not that I do that at all the time.
And then I just diced up an onion. So now technically you could use already roasted vegetables if you wanted to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you've got if you roasted all of these vegetables, and you could just then start making your soup from the roasted vegetables too. So soup's like a magic dish. So carrots, onion, celery, some garlic cloves. Do you want to, let's see, I'll just throw them in there.
Sure.
Have you ever used this before?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So it's nothing like, it's not fun or anything. These are more fun, I think, than just regular chopping because it's so much easier and faster. There we go. So we are doubling this because it's so good. And again, I like to freeze it. So,
and you can freeze lentils. It doesn't hurt the lentil when you freeze it? Well,
so it's just like beans. Whenever you reheat something that does end up, I mean, beans will fall apart the more you reheat them, and they'll become like refried beans basically. So same thing with lentils. The more you reheat them, the more you cook them, the more likely they are to kind of break down. But it ends up becoming like almost like a split pea soup. So it like becomes really thick and chunky rather than being like the actual lentil that you can see and almost has a little almost crunchiness about it. So it's gonna transform as you freeze it and reheat it and etc. So let's see, we're gonna add bay leaf right here. So we have 2 bay leaves. We're gonna add some curry powder. If you're not sure if you like it, just add a little bit less maybe. I like the flavor in there. I think it works really well. And it's not too overpowering, but if you don't like curry powder, then don't worry about it. A little bit of olive oil just to help with the flavor. And then we're gonna do 1 can of diced tomatoes. You could also do like 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, or you could do crushed tomatoes, or leave the tomatoes out if you'd like. Oh, it looks like a mix of maybe stewed tomatoes and diced tomatoes. Totally fine. Doesn't matter. The lentils. So the dried lentils go in there. And now we need, for just 1 times the recipe, we need 4 cups of broth. For 2 times the recipe, we need 8 cups of broth. So I'm just going to fill up my measuring cup. And this is how you strain, like technically this is the chefy way to strain the broth. If you want to try, can you try that? So instead of actually pouring, this is what's called a chinois, and it's a very fine mesh strainer. And since we use all of the skins and everything, and there might be a little bit of dirt, there might be things, and that's all going to sink to the bottom. So what you do to strain your stock is you put this in it, and then you get a ladle and you scoop it out of here.
Oh, is that the way those?
Yes.
I've always used it the other way.
Exactly. You're not alone. So then I go into the strainer, and the idea behind this is if you've ever seen a restaurant, or a kitchen cooking for a large number of people, they always have a pot of stock kind of simmering in the background, and so you just go in with your ladle and take a ladle of it whenever you need it. So that's why it sits on top just like that. And so this is our beef broth. You want to taste it? This is what we made in the last hour.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can put your camera down and stop the trick. I'll let you taste it. And when you let this cool, there's fat that has risen to the top. You can go through the motions of straining it, or the next day it will cool and solidify and you can take the fat off. So it already smells like pot roast.
Oh, it smells amazing.
That's hot because I just have, I'm going in enough.
Mmm. That's really good.
Yeah. So that was an hour. So I'm going to put 4 cups and then I'll put 4 more cups in here. Make sure I don't go over the limit of our, of our Instant Pot. Am I close to the limit or am I okay?
No, I think you're gonna be okay.
Okay.
Which is weird. On my Instapot, my max limit is really close to the top. Like I only have like a 1/4 of an inch for the max.
Huh.
Like, away from the top. Yeah.
Okay, so there's my 4 more cups. All right, and then we're going to put this in for 12 minutes on high pressure. Now, what I did not put in, I didn't put in the spinach because as soon as we take the lid off, we're just gonna throw the spinach in and it's just kind of like wilts. And then we'll get all the vitamins and the nice color from the spinach. And then also we can chop up some parsley and then we're gonna add some lemon juice or vinegar. And so every time we add anything acidic, it's always meant to just balance out the flavors of salt and fat and vinegar all work together to balance things out. So this is cooking together for a long time and all becoming like a very cooked flavor. So we want that acidity that's going to kind of just liven it up a little bit. So we add that at the end. If we added it at the beginning, it would mellow out the flavor and it would taste like very mellow lemon flavor. Okay, so do you guys know how to do this? Did we do an Instant Pot before?
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
Last week, maybe?
Did we? Yeah. So put the lid on, lock it in, and we'll do, oh, it has a soup function. So make sure it's on sealing. That says soup broth. I wonder what that. We do that, and we'll do 12. Well, that's high pressure, right? Yeah, it's got to be right. I'll do 12 minutes for soup. Sorry. It's okay. And then you just take a deep breath while you're waiting for it to tell you that it's on. And then, yeah. So we wait for 12 minutes and then we can just do, did I say quick release? Oh, natural release for 5 minutes. So that just means letting, when the 12 minutes are over, it'll ding and make a noise and then it'll start counting up. So it counts backwards from 12 when it comes to pressure, and then it's going to count up after that. So wait 5 minutes and then release the steam. It just means it's just going to continue to cook a little bit longer for that extra 5 minutes, but on a lower level, not at a sustained pressure level. So just going to be naturally releasing the pressure rather than the quick releases when you turn the knob and then all the steam comes out. Yeah. So I'll just, let's see, I'll chop. Now you could chop up your spinach if you want. I just like to throw it in. If you have frozen spinach, but you want it, so you want to have the vitamins from the spinach, you can just throw in some handful of frozen spinach, still frozen, and it'll melt right up in there. I think it's a really easy way to put vegetables in things.
And even if they pull them out, probably the nutrients is leached into the liquid.
Yeah, the latent nutrients. So I'll go ahead and chop up some fresh parsley. Cilantro goes really nice with the curry powder too. We just didn't have any. So we'll use parsley. And then I'll keep this and the lemon juice. And then as soon as it's ready, we just pour all that in and then we're ready to serve it.
Now, could you cook the lentils in either a slow cooker or, I mean, obviously you could do it on the stovetop, but could you do it in the slow cooker?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't give a slow cooker. So lentils cook faster than beans. So my guess is on low, maybe 4 hours on a slow cooker. And then on the stovetop, it's 20 to 30 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really quick.
Yeah, exactly. So I really just wanted the hands-off part of the Instant Pot. It's not that much faster than the stovetop, except it's closed and contained and I don't have to deal with it.
Yes.
That's the only thing. So, okay, so then I'm just gonna chop up my parsley. So I'm just rolling it. So I've lined it all up actually, so that I have, and this is the exact same thing for cilantro. You do cilantro the same way. So I have all of my stems here, and then I'll have all my leaves here. Now all the leaves, all the stems that are near the leaves, they're very fine. And so we're gonna go ahead and use them. But any of the stems that don't have leaves attached to them, we're gonna discard those and keep them for our stalks. And the only reason is because they are a little thicker, and so they're a little stringier than the finer stems, but they taste just like cilantro or just like parsley, so their flavor is really good. It's just that they're a little stringy. But if you cut them up small enough, then you're fine. So then these stems, I'm gonna put them into our broth right now, and it's gonna add a really nice parsley flavor to them. And then the parsley I'm going to put right here. And our lemon juice. So I have everything ready to go. Spinach, parsley, and lemon. Now I'm not going to pour the lemon onto the parsley because it'll just turn it brown. Oh. So I'm going to nestle it in there, but it's all ready to go. So like I could now walk away from this, and then I could yell to my daughter, or walk into the room and tell my daughter. I could say, Anne Claire, would you set your timer for 20 minutes? And then, you know, she could be in charge of it. So she could finish up. I mean, I would, you know,
yes,
supervised, obviously, supervised depending on their age. But and then everything's ready. So it's really easy for anybody else to take over for you. So it's a nice way to kind of set somebody up to cook and help you, and you know, I think at least.
Yes.
And everything's ready to go. So that's it.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And
that chinois trick is like amazing. It is life-changing. It's changed my life.
We're almost done. Oh, okay. I'll just turn off these. I'm sure they're good. So that was it.
Excellent.
This is going to be done in like 20 minutes, so we won't be around. I mean, you won't be around. But we would just dump this in and taste it. So you might need to add, salt. We didn't add any salt.
Do you, like, I know beans, you're supposed to wait to salt beans until later. Is that the same with lentils or no?
I usually just add salt anyways. So we could, let's just cancel it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what happens. So let's see if we have any steam built up. So, okay, we forgot the salt. Yeah, and there's no steam built up. So we'll just open it up and add some salt. See, don't be afraid of messing up. Add some salt, and then we'll start it right back up. Like nobody's gonna know. Nobody's gonna know. Start it all over. Here we go. Like it never happened. So, but I checked to see if there was if it was locked, and the lid wasn't locked. So that meant that I could open it up. Okay.
If it was locked, would you wait and then?
Yeah. So if it was locked, I would have to vent it, let the steam go out enough for for the safety valve to release, and then I would be able to take it off.
Okay.
Yeah. So there you go.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
This has been wonderful.
Yeah. And
we'll be back in December.
Yeah. And so if you have any requests for holiday recipes, holiday cooking, holiday anything, whatever, or just anything, winter, fall, I don't know, anything. We'll kind of be on the cusp of fall and winter. So if there's anything, just let us know.
Yeah.
Happy to help.
And send an email to my email, amy@summerharvest.com or info@summerharvest.com, which is where you get the communications from.
Yeah.
And we'll let Chef know and figure out a set of recipes.
Yeah. And then you can always email me at chef@prepkitchenessentials.com as well. But yeah, please let us know if you have anything that you would like to learn. So we'd be happy to do it.
Excellent. Thank you again so much.
Bye, everybody.